In the last lecture, we began looking at the thermodynamic response of the superconductor, and we looked at, for example, the behavior of specific heat, which showed that there is a jump in specific heat at the critical temperature. And this jump in specific heat corresponds to a phase transition in the superconductor. As it goes from the normal state to the superconducting state, it corresponds to a phase transition. Because you know that specific heat is a second derivative of the free energy, so by Arrhenius classification it would correspond to a second order transition. So let us look at these properties, the thermodynamic properties of the superconductor and the superconducting transition in a little bit more details. However, for that we need to go back a little and recall a little bit of our condensed matter physics, which I will do, and let's look at that. Let's recall a little bit of our condensed matter physics. So recall that the specific heat of a solid has the form gamma T plus AT cube, where gamma T is the electronic contribution to specific heat, electronic contribution to the specific heat of a solid. This is, I am talking of a normal solid with electrons, free electrons inside it. So there is an electronic contribution, and this is the contribution from phonons, which are because of the thermal vibrations of the lattice of atoms which are present inside the solid. So if I plot for a normal solid the specific heat C by T versus T square, it will give me some feature like this, which comes where this is the electronic contribution to specific heat and this slope is the phononic contribution. It gives you the contribution to phonons inside the solid. Now, ordinarily the C by T would basically be slightly linear at low temperature, and then it would become cubic. So this is the linear regime at low temperature, and then it would have a cubic behavior as you go to higher temperatures. However, because a lot of the superconductors actually sit at low temperatures, the TCs are typically very low. Because the TCs are low, so basically the normal state of the material at these low temperatures will have essentially a linear behavior of with temperature. But irrespective of that, the specific heat goes like this. Now, in this part of the lectures, we will actually try and calculate what is the behavior of the specific heat of the superconductor, what is the behavior of the free energy of the superconductor, what is the behavior of the entropy of the superconductor. So before we calculate it for a superconductor, from this expression, let us find out what is the behavior of the free energy of a normal metal, what is the temperature dependence of entropy, for example. And to calculate that, just recall that C is equal to T ds by dt, and therefore ds would be 1 over T or C by T dt. So S would be S at T equal to 0. So if you integrate this expression from 0 to T, this would give you the following expression, that S at any temperature T would be gamma T plus 1 by 3 A T cube. You just have to take the above expression for specific heat, put it in here. Gamma T plus AT cube you put it here, and then you get your expression for specific heat. And if you assume that S of T at temperature T equal to 0 is 0, then the entropy behaves as gamma T. The entropy behaves as S of T is equal to gamma T plus 1 by 3 A T cube. And recall your expression for free energy. The expression for free energy, entropy is minus delta G by delta T, Gibbs free energy at constant pressure. Recall that the Gibbs free energy G is dG is minus S dt minus V dP. Okay, in zero magnetic field. In magnetic field equal to 0, you can write this as the Gibbs free energy, which is the total reversible work that can be done in the system. So the entropy, and this, if you integrate it, will give you the Gibbs free energy as at any temperature T for a normal metal. The Gibbs free energy would be equal to 1 by 2 gamma T square, there is a minus sign, plus 1 by 12 AT raised to 4. You just have to put this here and then you integrate, and then you will get your expression for similarly for entropy for a normal metal. This is your expression for entropy. For a normal material. Both of these expressions, this is for the free energy and this is for the entropy. Now let's come to the discussion of the thermodynamics of superconductors. Okay, and if you recall, a superconductor is associated with the Meissner state, namely B is equal to 0. Consequently, if I want to write down the field, the magnetization, which is B minus H, implies that M is equal to minus of H. Now, if you recall that dG is equal to minus S dt minus V dP minus M dH. Let me just write this clearly. This is minus mu naught M dH. This is the work done in a magnetic field if the sample is magnetized. V dP is the change in pressure, T dt of course is the change in temperature, and this is the expression for Gibbs free energy. Now at constant temperature and pressure, which is constant, and of course in a solid you are not considering any changes in volume which are occurring inside the system because of the application of the magnetic field and so on. Your dG at constant temperature is just minus mu naught M dH for a superconductor. This is now okay. This is of course M dH, and now we will consider it specifically for a superconductor. Now, for a superconductor, M is equal to minus H. Therefore, integral of dG is equal to minus mu naught integral of M dH, or integral of dG is equal to minus m will be equal to minus h, so this would be mu naught integral of h dh. And here what should be the limits of integration? Okay, so let me give a subscript to the free energy to represent S subscript represents, this subscript S represents superconducting state. Now for the superconducting state, this is of course your, if you want to calculate how much is the change in the free energy of Gibbs free energy of the system, how much should be the change in magnetic field. We know that Hc is the critical field, namely from up to Hc, the superconductor, up to Hc, the critical field, the superconductor, it is superconducting, material is superconducting up to Hc. So let me reframe it. Up to Hc, material is superconducting, and above Hc, material turns normal or non-superconducting. So you are going to integrate from 0 to Hc, 0 to Hc. Remember that this is all being done at T, at a temperature T which is less than Tc. The temperature T is being less than Tc because you are looking at the superconducting state. So the free energy of the superconductor T at Hc minus the free energy of the superconductor at T of 0 magnetic field. This is the temperature label, and this is your magnetic field label, and this is the temperature label. So the free energy at temperature T Hc minus the free energy of the superconducting state at temperature T and magnetic field 0 is mu naught by 2 Hc square, which is also mu naught, which is also Bc square by 2 mu naught. Or let me write it properly. Gs at temperature Thc minus Gs at temperature T0 is mu naught by 2 Hc, which is a function of temperature, the whole square. It is also equal to Bc, which is a function of temperature, the whole square, by 2 mu naught, because B is equal to mu of H. Okay. And now let us look at this expression a bit more closely. Gs is the free energy of the superconductor at temperature T and at magnetic field. Gs Thc is the free energy, Gibbs free energy of superconductor at temperature T and field B equal to Bc or H equal to Hc, critical field. Okay. However, we know superconductor turns normal at H equal to Hc. So therefore, the free energy of the superconducting state at T, at temperature T and magnetic field Hc, should be equal to the free energy of the normal state of the metal. N represents the normal state of the metal at temperature T and magnetic field Hc. Okay, this is expected because the superconductor turns normal. So therefore, the free energy of the superconductor at temperature T and magnetic field Hc should be no different from the free energy of the normal metal at temperature T and magnetic field Hc, because it has turned normal. And this is of course true. Okay. Now if the normal material is non-magnetic, then let us see dg normal. Of course, this superscript represents the normal state of the material, and the superscript represents the superconducting state of material. So if the normal material or the normal state of the material is non-magnetic, let us consider that dg, again like before, is minus nu naught m dh. You integrate from 0 to hc, 0 to hc. Now here we are just assuming that the material never turns superconducting. Okay, this material is always normal at any field and any temperature. Then this again we can write it as Gn at T hc minus the free energy at T0 should be equal to mu naught m dh. Now m is equal to the susceptibility chi times h. I'm sorry. Let's rewrite this. The magnetization we know is the susceptibility chi times h. So if you substitute that here, you will get mu naught chi hc square by 2. If material is non-magnetic or very weakly diamagnetic or whatever, then the susceptibility should tend to 0, or the normal state Gibbs free energy at a magnetic field at any temperature and magnetic field hc should be equal to the Gibbs free energy in 0 magnetic field at a temperature T. So at any given temperature T can be less than Tc. The Gibbs free energy at magnetic field hc should be equal to the Gibbs free energy in 0 magnetic field, because the material is non-magnetic. If the material is non-magnetic and if you apply a magnetic field, you don't magnetize it, and if there is no magnetization, there is no free energy change inside, there is no energy that there is no energetic change inside the material, so the free energy will remain identical. So if you go back to this expression, if you look back at this expression, that at hc we had GTHC will be equal to G normal THC. Okay, because the superconductor is turning normal at Hc, the free energy of the superconducting state at temperature T in a magnetic field Hc is equal to the free energy of the normal material at temperature T in magnetic field Hc, which, if this material is non-magnetic, is equal to the normal state in 0 magnetic field, free energy of the material, normal material in 0 magnetic field. And therefore, if you go back to this earlier expression, that Gs THC minus G is equal to this. So let me rewrite this. Gs at THC minus Gs at T is equal to Bc square by 2 mu naught. Okay. If you substitute this here, this tells you this gives you a very important expression. It tells you that the free energy of the superconducting state at a temperature T below Tc is lower than the free energy of the normal material at that temperature. So this expression, because Bc square by 2 mu naught, this term is positive. It tells you that the free energy of the superconducting state at a temperature T in zero magnetic field is less than the free energy of the same material which is non-superconducting at temperature T in zero magnetic field. You get this very important, that the superconducting formation of the superconducting state, formation of the superconducting state corresponds to lowering the free energy of the system. And when we say free energy of the system, it is basically the electronic state of the material, because of course superconductivity is arising because of electrons inside the material. So somehow when you cool the system below Tc, the free energy of this entire electronic state reduces. Another very important conclusion, so this is an extremely important conclusion, that the electronic state free energy, once it enters into the superconducting state, it decreases. And another very important thing is that here, of course, you see in this expression GnT0 minus GsT0 is equal to Bc square by 2 mu naught. There is no magnetic field which is built into this expression. It is all a comparison of the free energy of the normal state at temperature T minus the free energy of the superconducting state at temperature T. This difference is of the order of Bc square by 2 mu naught. Okay, and this shows that Bc square by 2 Bc, the critical field, is basically an energy scale. This is nothing else but the magnetostatic energy associated with a field of the order of Bc, which is the thermodynamic critical field. So with these, let us stop for now, and we will continue this discussion in the next lecture.